So, you've collimated your telescope, but you're still getting weird shaped stars. What's going on here? Well, you might be dealing with an issue called sensor tilt. How do you fix it? How do you analyze it? How do you adjust for it? Well, that's what we're going to talk about on another episode of Astro Playground. Stick around. Okay, so let's get into this. What is sensor tilt? So, sensor tilt is you find it a lot in cooled cameras and for that matter any imaging rig, but it especially shows up in cameras where there is a large optical train like a telescope. Okay, so what it does is it can cause, elongated stars, especially in the corners, and the issue arises where the sensor is it's not perfectly set in the camera body. It's not directly orthogonal to the image cone, the light cone that comes down through your telescope, be it a refractor or a reflector telescope. There is an image cone that proceeds down through the body of the OTA and hits the sensor. And if the sensor is out of alignment, and it doesn't have to be out by a lot, a few microns, 10, 12, 20 microns, is enough to throw it out. So how do you, adjust for it? All right, and that's the real trick, is to figure out how to adjust for it. And one of the things that is important to note is to have the proper back focus on your telescope. So check your manufacturer's specs and find out what the proper back focus is for your telescope, and make sure that you are measuring correctly from your terminal points. That will take you from that point, either from the back of the telescope or from like the reducer or the field flattener, and bring it back. There is a specific amount, a specific measurement that is required to achieve that proper back focus. Now, for like the Celestron, be it the 9 1/4, the 11, or the 14, that critical back focus is 146 millimeters. Okay, that's right around 3 inches, but millimeters. You want it to be into millimeters, and it is critical. All right, when I say that the sensor tilt can be out by 20 microns, you have to understand that, one micron is 1/1000th of a millimeter. So you take a millimeter and divide it up into 1,000 pieces, all right? That's a micron. 20 of those can throw out that sensor, all right, and on the corners. So making adjustments for this can be challenging, all right? And how you do it is critical to achieving a proper image, so that your stars in your corners don't look goofy or weird or elongated. All right. So it's important to know how to do this. All right, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that. There are different devices that you can get that will show you how to adjust for tilt. Some cameras come with a tilt adjuster plate built into them, like some of the ZWO cameras, I believe the QHY cameras, and some of the other cameras have tilt plate adjusters in them. All right, that they come with. Other cameras do not, and so you have to figure out how you're going to adjust for that tilt. There are devices that you can use. There are automatic tilt adjusting devices. ZWO makes one. I believe Wanderer Astro makes one. And I can showcase those. If we look at the ZWO one right here, possibly the Wanderer Astro one right here. All right, and there are other ones as well. There is also a device called a photon cage. I'll show a picture of the photon cage. I'll put that right here so that you can see it. And that photon cage you can get it in various sizes. There's one for the APS-C and smaller cameras, the barrel size, and then there's one for the full frame cameras like the 6200 and others that fit a larger camera. And that photon cage basically holds the camera in place so that you can then, where it attaches to your image train, you can adjust for the tilt from that point, all right, on the cage, all right, and it moves the camera within the body of the cage, all right. So important to know how to make adjustments. And here's the thing, these adjustments are very, very slight, very, very slight, all right. You're dealing with machine screws that have anywhere between 120 to 150 threads per inch. All right, so even though those threads are very, very fine, you know, you can move the tilt on a camera with 1/8 of a turn. All right, and you can move that in and out significantly. You'll move it, you know, 10 or 20 microns, you know, easily if you go beyond that. So it's important that you have a very, very light touch with this, and it takes a little bit of practice. You know, if you're comfortable with those fine touches, it might be a little easier. But you want to make sure that you are approaching this very, very delicately. All right, and we're gonna look at examples of that. I'm going to take this outside, and we'll show you in the daytime from the camera's, you know, at the perspective of the camera, where these adjustment screws are, and what will happen when we go ahead and make adjustments to them. So we'll take you outside right now for a look.
Many minutes later.
Okay, so we're out here by the telescope. It's a little late in the afternoon. Easier to show this during the daytime. I obviously made the changes at night, which I will show you the results of. But what I want to just illustrate to you is where the adjustments are for this particular camera. So we'll take a look at this right now. All right, so on the 2600 and other ZWO cameras, as well as other cameras that have built-in tilt corrector plates, where you find that is right here. The camera body has it's all on the ZWO cameras. It's all in red, and then you can see this black plate that's 7 or 8 millimeters thick. All right, this plate here is the corrector plate, and as you can, I don't know if you can, how well you can see that, but on that plate right here, I'll illustrate this with my Allen wrench. As you can see, if I can get it to focus, right here, there are these Allen heads, all right? And maybe coming down here, you can see it better. Here, there is a locking nut, and then right next to it, there is the grub screw that you can loosen. So the idea is to loosen all 3 of the screws, and you can, as you can see, come over on this side, and you can see it a little better. All right. Right here, you have the grub screw, all right? And right here is the locking bolt that goes into the camera body, all right? So you unscrew all 3 of these, and they are at 120 degrees, okay, in a circle. And you simply loosen that bolt on all 3, and then loosen these grub screws. And you don't want to pull them all the way out. You just want to pull, just flatten them out. So, and when you loosen this, then you will go through all the way around and tighten these grub screws by just a small amount. We're talking about 1/8 of a turn, all right, to start from, and then just go through and snug up your main locking bolts, all right, that go into the camera body, and then go ahead and take an image, all right, and you will see approximately where you're at. So we'll take a look at the images that I shot through the camera, and we'll view them through ASTAP, and you'll be able to see the sensor tilt.
Many minutes later.
Okay, so we have some raw data to look at as it relates to the sensor tilt. We took an image of the sky, and kind of a dense, not super dense, but a star field that allowed us to get a decent image, and that will then be applied to software. Now, the software that we're going to use, there are different software applications that you can use for this. There are some paid software applications that work very, very well, but it's a cost. You have to come out of pocket a couple $100 for the CCD inspector, and then I think it's $100 every year for any updates to that. But there is another one called ASTAP that you can use that will allow you to look at sensor aberrations and inspect the image and so on and so forth, and it'll give you a grid to show you the sensor tilt. The other one that is available is through Nina, and that is Nina's Hocus Focus plugin. And that also will do an excellent job of showing you your focus curve and whether or not the sensor is tilted. And it gives you some very, very solid data to look at. So for those of you that are ultra techie and really are into the geeky end of this, Nina's Hocus Focus is an excellent way to go. I'm going to try to keep it simple and just use the ASTAP version right now. We may do an additional video and an addendum to this going forward, where we talk about Hocus Focus and look at how that works, as well as some of these other ones. So, and looking at some of these images, and you can see some of them right now. We're going to start with this image right here, and I'll bring that forward so that you can see what we're talking about here. So I've loaded up this first image. What we're going to do is we're going to come up here to ASTAP. We're going to go over here to Tools, and we're going to come down here to Inspect, Image Inspection. All right, and we're going to hit this button right here, the tilt. And there's a shortcut for it, F4. We'll just go ahead and do that. But we're going to hit that right there. It'll take a second to load up, and we should have an image. And here we go. This is where we started at. All right. This box represents our sensor, and as you can see, we've got a little bit of tilt, to deal with here. Now, these corners are not terrible, right? So we've got 180, 174, 1.8, 1.74, 1.81. But this is the one that's kind of screwing us up, is this side right here. So we've got 2.17. 2.5, all right? These other sides were at 1.72, 76, 71. All right, so it's this side here that is the problem. Now, this represents the top of the camera. Now, for ZWO cameras, the top of the camera is represented by the dark little rubber cap on the camera body, round rubber cap that holds the desiccant tablet. That desiccant tablet is basically helps to keep moisture and condensation from collecting inside the camera, between the protective plate and the sensor. All right, so you want to that desiccant pad basically protects that, but that is also a solid reference point for what the top of the sensor is. So what we need to do, and if you look at you look at the image of the ZWO right here, the front image here, it shows you the three bolt, the bolting pattern, which is basically a triangle. All right, the bolt that is at the top, right above that is that little rubber desiccant tablet cover. All right, that's represented by the top of the camera. Now, this area here, this corner down here, I believe is the mirror image of the bolting pattern. So if you're looking at the top of the camera and this right here, which would be the right side, it's actually, you want to. Now again, if I'm saying something that is out of school here, out of step, I'm sure somebody will correct me on this, but I believe that this corner here is represented by the opposite corner on the camera. So the right hand side is going to be the left hand push and locking bolt. All right, the bolt that goes through the camera, and the grub screw that pushes that plate. All right, so it's that push pull. Right? It pulls in with the locking bolt and pushes out with the grub screw. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to make an adjustment to that. Those three. We're going to actually. I'm going to loosen up all three. Right. And I'm going to turn the grub screw on each one about a half a turn on each one, and then tighten up the locking bolts. All right. If you really want to have an accurate measurement of this, what you can do is use a feeler gauge. And the kind of feeler gauge that I'm talking about, I will show you an example of that. This one right here is the one that I use, and it's one that I've had for many, many years, and it will measure down to, thousandths of an inch. All right. So if you only want that plate to come out from the camera body, say 10 thousandths of an inch, right, or 5 thousandths of an inch, or whatever, you can loosen up those three screws, right, and then put your feeler gauge in between, tighten that down against the feeler gauge, pull your feeler gauge out, and do that for each of the bolts, and then tighten your grub screws down against the camera body. That will ensure that that plate is dead flat. Okay, it's dead flat, and it will give you the latitude to be able to then make adjustments, all right, with those grub screws, instead of it being screwed directly down to the plate. And you don't want that, because you'll wind up with binding issues and other things. It's just a mess. You don't want that. So the feeler gauge is an excellent way to give yourself a good starting point. All right, so we're going to take this to the next photo. Now we can come down here and pull this up in, and I'm just going to use my F4 to do a image inspection. All right, and there we go. So now, as you can see, what I did in loosening that those up and then bringing them back into place. If I would have done my feeler gauge, these numbers here would have been much closer. So using that feeler gauge will allow you to get these dead nuts right on within a couple of microns. All right, and very tight tolerances. All right, but as you can see, just in loosening those up, and then taking those grub screws down a half a turn, and then tightening those back up again, you can see that it took where we were before, which was a severe tilt problem, and it took it to a moderate tilt problem. That just in that first initial setup part. All right. So now we will look at our next photo and see where we're at. So here's our next photo. All right. And I will just recenter, and we'll do an F4 for our image inspection. And now you can see that I basically, all I did was in loosening, on the locking bolts, I just loosened them just enough so that they were free. It just barely enough, and you can get it by feel, okay? But you just want to break the tension on that screw, on that bolt. You just want to break the tension, and then you can take those grub screws and move them in 1/8. I adjusted those grub screws in 1/8 of a turn, and that gave me this here, which is, it's not terrible. It really isn't. Now, I probably could have taken that top grub screw in just a little bit more, maybe another 1/8 of a turn, maybe not even 1/8 of a turn, maybe a 1/16 of a turn, and we would have been even closer to the 1.6 level instead of the 1.7 or close to 1.8 level that is up here, right? That would have brought us even closer. But you can see this is now set at mild. It's only 10%, right? So we'll now look at our third image, which is right here. And I will again do our F4. And this will bring it to where we finally left off. Now, I've got and this is where I left it last night, right? And I may fiddle around with this a little bit more, but by the time I got to this point and all the screwing around I was doing last night, it was 4 in the morning. And I literally was, okay, I was falling asleep. So I figured before I do something stupid, and God knows when you're tired and it's late, you can do something stupid and you don't want to do that, all right? So I figured I'd leave it here, and I figured 7%, which is almost none, right? We were in pretty good shape, right? And as you can see, I got to where we were at the 190, 195, 186, 2. They're very, very close, very close. Just fiddling with it, see if I can get it even closer. I'd like to see if I can get it to, 4%, 3%. If I can get it to 3%, I'll be ecstatic, all right? But we'll play with it and see where we're at. But the point is that you can see just by fiddling with those screws on that plate, you can get your tilt into a much better position, and that's going to affect the stars in the corners, okay? That's going to affect the stars in the corners, and it's going to give you an overall much better image. So when all was said and done, I took this image of the whirlpool, and again, this is just straight 122nd, raw image right out. I mean, it's a FITS file, raw, right out of the telescope, right out of the camera. No processing, no nothing. It's just a quick, fast, dirty image. But you can see that our stars, for the most part, they look pretty nice. Not bad. Pretty round. Okay? Not bad. Now you can get crazy with this, right? You can try to approach that 0%, that dead flat. There's going to be a point where the law of diminishing returns is going to come in, where you're going to be spending literally hours back and forth fiddling with it, trying to get it just right. All right. I think that if you can get it within 5%, you're doing really, really well, all right? And I'm at 7 now, so a little more fiddling, we can get it 4 or 5%, I'll be really happy. If I can get it 3%, I'll be ecstatic, all right? But as you can see, it's not bad at all. So going from here, you can then match that to your collimation, double check your collimation, do a focus routine on your collimation. And if you haven't seen my video on collimation, I encourage you to watch that. But just real quick, all you have to do is just defocus on a star field, right? And create that nice big donut where you've got the black center at the middle and then that white ring, right? And then all you want to do on that secondary mirror is basically what you did on the tilt plate, right? You got your 3 screws at 120 degrees each, right? And you in and out right, on those. So you move one in, the two come out. The one down here in, these two out, right? These two in, this one out, right? So you have to, again, you have to play with it. There's a push-pull that is involved, and that will allow you to move that black dot towards the center of that white donut. That's what you want. And when you marry that with the tilt, adjusting the tilt on your camera, you are basically getting that imaging cone, right, to point directly at that sensor, right? And the sensor is orthogonal to that imaging cone. So it becomes very, very flat to that imaging cone. That will produce a tremendously nice image, nice round stars. Okay, and again, you can get crazy with it. All right, you know, sometimes people there's the old adage, you know, of what the miners, you know, in California in the 1840s, 1850s, they had a term called marrying the vein. You know, where you know, a miner was no longer in the pursuit of gold; they were digging to prove a point that there was gold there, right? So you can get to a point where, you know, you're trying to prove a point that you can get it to that 1%, you know, or 0%. Remember the law of diminishing returns, right? There's a trade-off, right? So if you, like I said, if you can get it below 5%, you're doing pretty well. You're doing pretty well, and matching that with collimation, I think you're going to be very, very happy with the kind of images that you'll pull out of the scope. So, if you like this kind of content and you'd like to see more, consider subscribing to our channel. I thank you for watching this video all the way through. That helps us so much. And I encourage you to come back and look at some of our other videos that we've done in the past, and the videos that are coming in the very near future. Our channel is growing, and we are very excited about that. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers, and we're looking to hit that goal here very soon. I would also encourage you to, you know, give us a like, and like this video, and also come up here and hit that notification bell. That notification bell is very important. It helps you to receive the latest content that we put up on our channel, so that you can be kept up to date as to what we're doing with content in our future videos. I would also encourage you to head on over to Astro Telescopes. I'm going to give you an affiliate link that I'll put down here in the comments, down here in the description of the video. You can also find it at the front page of our home page for Astro Playground. And if you click on that link, it doesn't cost you anything, but it goes a long way to helping us out. So you head on over through that link, make your purchases at Astro Telescopes. It gives us a small commission, helps to support our channel here. If you'd like to directly support us, and you feel led to supply us with monetary funds, feel free to buy me a coffee, and there's a link for that right on our homepage. You just head right over there. It's the first link on the list there. Just go ahead and hit that link, and you can donate to support this channel. I would also ask you to be a part of our community. Come over and visit us at Astro World TV. We meet twice a week on Wednesdays and on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk all things astrophotography, telescopes, gear, setups, our personal experiences, our victories, more often than not our challenges, you know, and we have a great time together. There's quite a few friends, brothers and sisters that jump into the chat. We answer questions, we comment on, we do pictures of the week, where we have our members come through and they will submit their personal images, and we vote on those every week. We have a picture of the week, a picture of the month, and then our pictures of the year winner. So all of that goes into a calendar that we put together at the end of the year, and is made available for you. So come over and visit us at Astro World TV. Fridays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would also encourage you to add your comments to our videos. If you see something that you think I can be doing better, please, comment and tell me that. I respond to all of the comments that I have coming into me. Tell us about your experience. Tell us about your process and your procedures and how you do things. I'm always open to new ways of doing things. I hope I never stop learning. I know that I make mistakes just like everybody else does. And if you see me doing something that you think you have a better way of doing it, send that along in the comments, and we'll be happy to discuss it and talk about that. In a lot of cases, I may be doing things that are just plain out and out wrong. Maybe I'm doing something that's just right. Sometimes I'm just being an idiot.
I'm an idiot!
But at any rate, I read and respond to all of my comments. So in the meantime, I would encourage you to keep imaging, keep educating, and exploring this amazing universe that we have, the amazing galaxy that we have at our disposal for discovery. Keep looking up, and until we see each other again on our next videos, clear skies, and bye for now.